which is positive because I'm able to do that and afford to do that. But there was an article the British Medical Association put up. So like we're in Essex now. I'm in Chelmsford, so this bit close to South Essex. But this article was released last year, and it said in the whole area of Basildon, Southend, and Thurrock. Now, if you know Essex, that's quite a large area.
Mm.
It says, I'll read it word for word, right? On average, patients in Basildon, Southend, and Thurrock waited 1.5 years, as the NHS employed a single therapist for all of South Essex.
Jesus.
So, imagine we're able to have people around us, but there's people that are isolated.
Mm.
There's people that are isolated. Loneliness is a big one. Sometimes you just need to be able to do that, and you think, all right, I'm not feeling well, I'm going to go to my doctor or my GP or whatever it might be. And it goes back to that, we're going to give you the medication because you're going to be waiting.
And that's the thing, isn't it? It's the
when I read that, Reece, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe what I was reading.
And if the stats for females are 1 in 6 people in that area, the amount of people that you're going to have that need that care and attention, and it's the case. When you look at it and you read those stats, it is frustrating because I don't believe for any second there is money there that can go to help. For any second, no one can sit there and tell me Brexit's happening, whatever. We haven't got the money for this. No one can sit there and tell me that. There is money there.
When we're spending how many billions renewing the nuclear arsenal,
again,
but we can't look after
that, and again, and that's what when you're talking about suicide rates in males, but in females, but in males constantly on the rise. I read an article and a study done in 2007, which I couldn't believe. Greenland has the highest suicide rates in the world. Greenland.
No sunlight.
Greenland has the highest suicide rates in the world. You don't hear that anywhere, do you?
No, that's true.
But that's, again, and it's sometimes where you're talking about like the loneliness and the isolation. David Walliams, one of his was depression and fear of being alone. And I think, again, keep alluding back to the social side of things, but our phone, I think, plays a massive trigger in that, because you don't even need to go and see people. You can FaceTime them.
Before these beautiful devices were invented, you'd have to speak on the phone. Even speaking on the phone is better than sending the text message. People rather spend a text message than actually speak to someone nowadays, right? But you'd have to meet up with people to be able to speak to them. But everyone stays in their room now.
But what's our culture like? If you go and meet someone, you're either giving someone a handshake, you're giving someone a hug. So the actual physical aspect of going to see someone, and even if you're giving that person a hug, you may, if you're feeling in that state of, I am feeling lonely, I am feeling depressed, I'm feeling anxious, and you go and meet someone, even if you don't talk about what's going on in your head, and you go and meet that person, you give them a hug, that will release so much of feelings out from what you're seeing, as opposed to going on Skype, FaceTime.
100%.
And I think we're losing
100%.
that connection so much. And it's not necessarily, again, just saying like the social media side of things, but it's more of like the phone side of saying, right, go out and just leave your phone, meet, say you're going to meet somewhere and just go and meet.
100%.
We miss it a lot.
It's scary, really, how we can isolate ourselves. I know when I'm going through moments, I isolate myself brilliantly. If you can say it brilliantly, I could be in my room for weeks without managing to see anybody.
Hide and seek was the best game when we were younger.
There we go. I think that's where I learned it from.
Yeah.
Even over the Christmas period, I wasn't feeling like my best self, and I just isolate myself in my room. Someone will say, "Oh, you up for do this tonight?" "Oh, sorry, I can't." Some excuse that was absolute nonsense because I'm sitting in my bed watching Netflix, so I can't bother to get out. But the isolation thing and leading to the suicide rates is it's 100. I think it's a factor. Suicide. Just touching on the suicide rates, for Samaritans numbers from 2017, 14 suicides in England per 100,000 people. So to put that into real terms, you're watching Anthony Joshua fighting at Wembley, 100,000 people, 90,000 people. 14 of those people
could potentially do it right at that venue.
Potentially committing suicide within that year. That's 14 people inside Wembley Stadium. That's not a number to be sniffed at. It's a high percentage.
And I think when again, it's difficult because everyone has so many different fears, anxiety issues. Again, when you sort of try and hit to the root cause of things, the loneliness is a big factor, massive factor, because at the end of the day, we can have as many nice cars as you want, houses, money, but
we're social beings.
If you're getting, unfortunately, a disease that strickens you and you're bedbound and you're dying slowly, you're not sitting there thinking about the cars that you've got or the 4 houses you're renting out. You're sitting there thinking, as long as you've got that process to still think, you're sitting there thinking about what life you led, who you touched,
what experiences you
had. You're not sitting there thinking about that. You're not sitting there thinking about the times that you uploaded a picture to Instagram and got 500 likes in 60 seconds.
Because you had your brand new car in it, which was costing
X
amount of money, wherever it is.
You're sitting there thinking about the lives you touched, what you did, what you experienced, the fun that you had, but also the struggles you had and the way you got out of those struggles, but then got back into the struggles. It's like a little dance. You come in and out of it, in and out of it, in and out of it, in and out of it. And that's fine because that's life, unfortunately.
Life isn't one straight upward trajectory.
That's why we've got roads.
In there. Yeah, exactly. And there's hills on those roads.
Yeah.
Well, I like that one.
Traffic lights on those roads as well, to be fair.
Sometimes you stop, sometimes you go, sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down.
But also you have to, I think as well, listening, you have to stop. And like I say, for me, the stopping point, I guess, was getting dumped.
Yeah.
In my, and maybe the stopping point for you was waking up on a Tuesday, not knowing where you were.
Mm-hmm.
And
stop and reassess what's going on in your life.
Yeah, I think there is little things, little tools people can use to try and help them. Again, it may be, I don't know, helpful for you to talk about the different types of treatment, like we're speaking about off air, that you're going through and been through that 100%. You found useful.
So I've tried several things. I've sort of cognitive behavioural therapy that you were talking about before. I did that, but I still struggled with my PTSD symptoms of sometimes having flashbacks or I'd be driving my car and my hands would be firmly on the steering wheel, like gripped tightly, almost like an anticipation that I was going to be hit.
Yeah.
And I'd be hyper vigilant. So I'd be driving along constantly checking my rear view mirror. I mean, I passed my driving test.
I was going to say, you definitely will now.
But I was like just hyper vigilant around situations and anxious around anything with loud noises or anything that could have, I guess, brought me back to that point.
Yeah.
And my friend's wife treats patients who have had trauma during birth with this therapy. It's called rewind therapy, where basically she takes you through the process and of the trauma and then disassociates you from it.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously she knew everything I was gone through, and she said, well, as a friend, let's see if it will work for you. And I saw her maybe 6 to 8 times to do this, literally be a 20-minute, half an hour session where she takes me back through the trauma and I just completely disassociate myself from feelings from the actual event.
Yeah.
And ever since I did that, I can drive normally. There's no PTSD symptoms related to the accident that I still have, which is incredible.
That's remarkable. And that's how will she take you through the trauma? You have to talk to her and tell you everything, every scenario that happened and how it played out? Yeah,
so basically I would tell her what I explained to her, the whole situation, and then it would be a case of close my eyes, almost get you into a semi-hypnotic state or ultra-relaxation, a state of ultra-relaxation. And then she would talk through the incident, but then release the feeling from it. So
Yeah.
it just became an event. It was just an event that happened. It wasn't the event with the increased heart
Yeah.
rate and the increased palpitations and sweaty palms and everything. Yeah, but I mean, her business, Mind Baby Body, is focusing on women with birth trauma, and it helps them because obviously they want to. Well, not all of them, but a lot of females and the males together, husbands and wives, wherever it might be, want to have a second child, but there might be that fear still there. But it worked in my situation as well because that is a form of PTSD, the trauma around the birth, and that worked with that amazingly. So yeah, she knows that.
Has that been done on others as well?
Honestly, Reece, don't know. I don't know anyone else who's used it in the sense that I used it. Only knowing from her in terms of what she does with the birth trauma area. She gets really good results in there. But in terms of me from that traumatic experience, I guess it would work. Theoretically, I assume it would work with any traumatic experience.
Because she's trying to take away the emotional side.
The emotion that's related to the incident.
Still. Yeah. So, would you recommend that to...
I would, yeah.
100%.
Excuse me, sorry.
You said...
It's called... The therapy's called Rewind Therapy.
Rewind.
I'll give people my Instagram or something at the end and for contacts and things. Yeah. Definitely, I would... if someone's suffering with a PTSD type event, I can only speak from my personal experience, but from my personal experience, it helped me. And it's another thing that you can try. Once again, everyone hasn't got the same fixes. We're not like a car.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be you're stuck on that particular prescription. Hope it works, sort of thing. Try it. If it works for you, stick with what works, and then go from there, I guess. It's
good to have as many tools in the toolbox, isn't it, really? And the other thing I had is a treatment called repetitive transcranial magnetic stimulation. So this is basically quite new to the UK. Only been here for about 5 years or so. And it's basically a non-pharmacological treatment for depression and anxiety, and as well as you can do things for migraine and pain and things. But mine was for sort of my depression. I had this around June time this year. Yeah. Basically what it is, it's a magnetic coil that you place above certain parts of the brain. So you put it on the skull and it creates a magnetic pulse, which then basically increases activity in the brain for people who have depression. Yeah. Or if you're suffering from anxiety, it will reduce the activity in the brain. You think when you're anxious, everything's firing.
Yeah, everything's firing in your... Yeah, it's overactive. It's like an overactive fire rod. Everything's working and, constant.
Whereas in depression, everything's a little bit more, I'm going to say depressed, but not firing as efficiently as it could be. So in simple terms, that's what it does. It's like a 30-week treatment. 30 treatments that you have over a course of 6 weeks, 5 days a week. Or it can be shortened, you might have 2 on a day or etc. But you normally have 5 in a week. And I had that, it got me off my medication, and since I had that, is the most fully stable that I've been. Don't get me wrong, I still have periods of low times, like we're talking about over Christmas, but it's been my most consistent that I've been without getting really bad in the last 3.5, 4 years. And so off the back of that, I had the treatment, found the success of it myself. I actually now deliver the treatment. Yeah. Yeah. So usually there's one NHS department that I know for sure. It's in Northampton. Yeah. That deliver the treatment there. The Neuromodulation Centre or something along those lines in Northampton. But as far as I'm aware, that's the biggest one or main one in the country. There's not many others, and the rest is all private. So I work for a private company. It's not the cheapest thing in the world, but it's the next stage. So you've got a lot of people who are resistant, they call it, resistant to taking medication. So the medication doesn't work for them, or therapy and medication or a combination of things doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's another, you say,
It's
tool in the
yeah,
toolbox.
it's another avenue, another tool to see what could potentially work.
Exactly. Can it work? A lot of the research saying that a combination of having this therapy as well as having talking therapy alongside it
Yeah.
is shown to have sort of the best overall results in terms of people's mood at the end and their longevity of being in remission or whatever you might want to call it.
So for those listening in and that might be skeptical because you said there's a a metal thing that goes above your head.
Yeah.
What are there and if so, what side effects would there be for that as opposed to, let's say, people that are like, okay, I'm on these drugs, I then don't want to try this if the drugs are going to have specific side effects, and now I want to try this, but I don't want to end up
doing more side effects on top of that. So the only real side effect is possibly having a bit of a headache afterwards. So when I'm showing you, you see the picture there. Basically, it literally is just, you don't even, it sounds like I said magnetic coil. All you'll see is a plastic sort of figure of 8 shaped bit of plastic that put onto your head. All the coils and everything that's working is in that.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's... No, it seems like it's relaxing. It's not... seems like it's going to stress you out. It seems like you can just sit there and...
You can sit there, you can be on your phone, you can talk to someone. It's completely
Yeah.
There's no issues around it. What it feels like, so you get like a... The best way to describe this is if you imagine a woodpecker was pecking at your head. That's exactly what that would feel like.
Okay.
And it's just, you get a period of pecking for about 10, 15 seconds, then it'll stop, and then you get it again, stop, again, stop. It's an 18.5 minute treatment. You've got machines now, you can do it in 3.5 minutes a day. You could have several in a day. But that worked, been amazing for me.
So
been amazing for me, Reece, to be honest.
The process of you being on antidepressants, trying a few different avenues, going through different cycles, then you obviously being admitted to hospital, then having the 2 therapists, and now coming on to, is it TMS?
Yep, TMS.
And then having the TMS and the speech therapy. What do you also find now to be triggers? Because obviously, I guess that is in an environment where you're sort of sat there and right, it's something that may help me after this, and then again the speech therapy, you're in an environment where you're feeling safe, you can open up, you can get things out. But what now for people that are listening that go, right, okay, I listened to what you said, Brad, but I need to be able to find or hit a root cause. What do you do when you're at that place where you, like you said, over Christmas, you're not necessarily having the best days? What do you do to almost keep yourself, going and making sure that you're, positive and reinforcing everything, as opposed to just relying, I guess, on the 2 treatments that do work for you?
100%. You need to have, well, for me personally, I need to have things that I can turn to, because you can't always have a treatment, or you need things to get you through every day.
Yeah.
So I think it's something that I'm always going to live with and have, that I'll have these periods of ups and downs. For me, I use mindfulness a lot.
Yeah.
So I use active things such as you might have heard the guided body scan, where I will be in my room, I'll shut myself off and basically take myself through the different parts of my body, noticing how everything feels.
Yep.
And that just takes my mind back into me being here right now.
Yeah.
Because when I'm feeling in those moments, often it's something that I'm thinking about that hasn't happened yet. Yeah. That could potentially happen, or something that happened so far long ago that it is not affecting me right now. Yeah. And it's bringing me back into what is actually going in now. Yeah. Yeah. And how in that moment, what is going on? And it's just coming to terms with it. And I'll tell you what's actually helped me to feel my body more, to understand my body more. Yeah. I'm an injury-prone person, Reece. And now I'm fully more aware of just little things. Like something in my ankle's not quite
Yeah.
right there, and I know, and I'll go out and run, and then I'll twist it. And I'll be like, I was
Yeah.
right, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
And for me, exercise.
Yeah, 100%.
Only in recent times have I got onto the exercise one. For me, running. I've never been a gym person.
Nah, me either. I go through phases in the gym where I'm 3 weeks on, 6 months off.
And exactly,
like
I've always been like that.
Something like that.
And this, at the moment, I'm about, I don't know,
How many weeks off?
I'm 6 to 8 weeks in,
Yeah.
and this is the longest, most consistent I've been.
Mm.
But I've obviously started this when I started feeling a bit lower over Christmas time, and that's really helped me again. Really helped me to sort of pull myself out of that, and it's just I go there and I just feel more clarity afterwards. Just it's difficult to even explain. I just feel better.
No, you mean, yeah.
I just feel better.
Yeah. You're also creating a habit as well, though, aren't you?
Oh, 100%.
Like, you're also creating a different habit than what you had previously. So, and a commitment, I guess, to within that. I think acceptance does come into play, like you said, with understanding your body, you're feeling your body. I think the acceptance of going, right, might not be necessarily having the best week or the best day. Okay, cool, I accept that. Then you're going into, things that work for you, whether that's, meditation, whether that's running, whether that's gym, the combination of all three or whatever, speaking to people. And then using those things to sort of dwindle yourself back into, where you were or where you are. I think that's massive. Whereas sometimes I think people may look at things in such a different way, where it's a case of, all right, I'm feeling like this again, or this is back on, and it's almost like a negative. It's like, all right, I've got to get rid of it. Why am I feeling like this again? And it's almost that resentment to what's actually going on. They're not accepting what's going on, and you can always use what's going on to help you in the future, I find. Whereas, like you said, knowing your body now, I think you know what your body needs, whether it's, right, Brad, I need to go out for a run, or I need to go to the gym, or not you need to, but for my state of mind, that's going to help me.
Beneficial.
And I think people have got to try things that may not work to find things that will work.
I've tried many things that didn't work. And, and to find the one that is right for you. And what's right for you is not going to be right for another person.
Could be walking a dog,
exactly,
literally.
Exactly. I could sit here and say, you should do this, this, and this because it worked for me. But that could be the completely wrong thing for somebody who's listening.
100%.
And it's about them finding what works for them. But the word acceptance you used, Reece, is a big one, and a big one for me, really, because it wasn't until I accepted that I have this and it's always going to be there, and even accepted that I had taken an overdose and was able to say, I took an overdose because I wanted to die.
Yeah.
It was when I was able to do that everything almost became easier for me. I was like, okay, this did happen.
Yeah.
But I don't have to be fully... it doesn't have to hold me back.
Yeah, you don't have to be saddened from, what you did again, because that was in the past. Everyone moves forwards. And like you're saying, the acceptance becomes is almost like a freeing of what you previously did in the past. When you get to that state, like we see it so many times with people that maybe have gone to war, or not even necessarily gone to war, but things like Alton Towers, I think it was, where on the accidents where people had amputees and arms and legs blown up, and you're coming out and you're seeing the interviews of these people, and they're very, very happy and they're very acceptant of what's happened to them, and they don't hold any regret or any sort of frustration towards, let's say, for example, Alton Towers from the accident. It's almost like, right, I've accepted that this has happened to me. I'm not going to get my leg back, but what I can control is my emotions, my thoughts, how happy I'm going to be, and what I'm going to do in the future. I'm not going to allow something that happened maybe 6 months, a year ago, 2 months,
the incident
still carry on into what I do. And I think that's really, like you say, it's really important.
100%. I think once I've done that, and once I did that, and I was able to sit down and think, okay, actually, so what do I want to do with my life now? And what do I want to do that's going to help me? And now I work within the mental health sector.
Yeah.
And I've started a charity. a charitable foundation to basically raise money so the local town that I'm from, this is where we're starting off, Southwood and Ferris, basically to fund talking therapy to begin with.
Brilliant.
For young people, so up to and including the age of 35, to be able to have a talking therapy. We're slowly in discussions with the local GPs and trying to work out the best route forward. There was 6 of us that ran a Richmond Marathon last year.
Yeah.
So we have sitting there £3,000 of funding.
Yeah.
Ready to go, and we've got a lot of events that we're thinking about planning for the year ahead, new year. We're currently just waiting for the charity number to come through. That's been a whole different palaver on itself.
I was going to say, what was the process?
So basically, the process that we went through, the foundation process, you fill in an application, you have to say what you're doing. It's a document, 20, 30 pages document, and you have to fill it in and describe why you're doing it, what you're doing, how you're going to raise funds, etc. And then you send it into the charity commission. And when you send it in, they tell you within 8 weeks you'll have a response, whether it be yes, or you need to change this or conflict of interests here or here. So I was like, okay, that's fine. We submitted it once, came back, and it said conflict of interest somewhere, you need to think about it. So we did that, cleared it up, send it again back in. It was the first week of September. So 8 weeks from there is the first week of November. So in the first week of November, I rang the charity commission and said, when can I expect a decision?
Yeah.
And at that point they told me, oh, sorry sir, it's actually going to be 20 weeks from the week of submission, which comes up in a few weeks' time, mid-Feb, I think it works out to be. So I think part of because I put a lot of work into that, and I've got people on board, friends, and some have been through things, might not have been through things, but are all aware of the situation and all want to work to develop.
Willing to help.
Yeah. And just at that point, you got kicked back. You're thinking, yes, we're ready to go. We've got the money. We're gonna go, and then all of a sudden, you got to wait another 16, 12, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
So that was like a little bit of a kick in the teeth, but I think, to be honest, that partly contributed to the process of me starting to get a bit despondent and lower as earlier or late last year. But now I'm sort of back up, raring to go again.
Yeah.
And we're in the process of deciding what sort of events we're going to do this year. We want to get a football match on.
Decent.
So I've got a winger, right?
Old-fashioned Damien Duff.
An old-fashioned winger coming in. We want to get a football game on, and hopefully one of two ideas. Move a few of us to do an ultra marathon in October.
Decent. Sign me up.
Yeah. Or there's this one, Reece, which is a bit mental, but I feel like it would raise a lot of money. It's a 4-day event from the source of the Thames right through to the Thames barrier. 4 running events. I think it's 43 miles day 1, 43 miles day 1, 60 miles day 2, 47 miles day 3, 31 miles day 4. So the idea that we're sort of plotting around is that I'm going to do all 4 days. Yeah. Somehow.
You will be able to.
Somehow, This is why I'm in the gym trying to get my body strong. So I'll make it through without having another operation. And then people to join on each day. Because each individual event is an ultra, but you can split it up, so you can have do it as a team. So say the day of the 60 miles,
it's like a relay.
Yeah, a relay. You could have 6 people do 10, and we feel that way would be able to raise,
because you're including more
money.
people
Yeah,
into
exactly.
Into the race, or
and it's an event that we can sort of organise and have more people. And on each day, you'll have different people come down. I'll need the people to support me through
I'm sure you will. A body double, or just to do half a leg. Any body doubles out there? That sounds exciting. And
so
do you find like that your almost willingness now that you've gone through all of this and still are going through obviously things yourself? Do you find that the excitement of you or the willingness of you wanting to help is also helpful in your recovery?
Massively.
Because you've gone through, so you know that potential that there is to help. You've gone through that phase, so you know that certain things will help, might not, but you've gone through things that do work. So you want to show that others can potentially.
Definitely, it's been a massive help for me in terms of having a direction. Even before any of this happened, before it happened, I sort of knew what I wanted to do. Well, I thought I did anyway. I was doing the process of I was going to go and then go to uni, and then after that I wanted to go into lecturing or whatever it was. But really, did I really want to do that? Or was it just the way that it was going? That's
such an interesting thing that you bring up, because I think we always, especially from school, I think we're taught from such a young age, it's what are you going to do, whether it's a case of college, university, you're going to get a job. It's those three things really, aren't it? What are you going to do? College, so in school, you're figuring out, depending on what your school does, primarily, then what you're going to do, unless you've got an interest, a very obsessive interest in, right, this is me, this is what I'm going to do. 70-90% of people are probably sitting there going,
I have no idea.
I have literally no idea what I'm going to do. Let me just go to uni. I like doing cooking, so I'm going to, go in and try and see if I can do it. I like being someone who's hands-on. I'm going to try and, be an engineer.
I'm good at science, so I'll do that. Do you actually enjoy science? No, but I'm good at it.
But then when you sit back and ask the question to yourself, and you're like, is this what I want to do? Or, sometimes even things like uni, being forced to go, or not necessarily directly forced or pushed, but it's almost like a
peer pressure.
Yeah, or it's almost like everyone in the family's gone to uni, or, you don't want to be that one. So it might not even, it's a subconscious feeling that you're like, oh, I don't want to let someone down, or, it's that, which I think is a killer sometimes, because I think you just got to let people grow, and then whatever they fall into, they fall into. I think,
like what we said, you started making these life decisions at 16 years old. You're a child still.
Don't know anything.
You're a full child.
I'm 27 now. I don't know anything.
Exactly, really. Reece. I'm the same. And at 16, you're making these decisions. You're going to do this BTEC, or you're going to do these A levels, and once you've done those, then you can only go down a specific path. And I think we get into the idea that you do that and then you get a job and then you're stuck in that job. But why?
I know.
Why?
You look at it now, don't you? Like, say, like sportsmen and women that have done or played like football, or you say like Michael Jordan basketball, and then ventures into a different sport. There's almost like a resentment and hate there, and almost like, how can you be so arrogant to think that you're gonna be the best basketball player to potentially ever live, to then go and be a professional baseball player? What people don't understand is people have different interests.
Yeah, of course.
Unfortunately for some people, they may not like to hear it. People are good at other things,
exactly,
rather than just one specific thing. And I think it's the same thing with jobs. Some people are like, right, this is me, I'm good, have to stay in this job.
I mean, and for some people that
don't allow, and that's perfectly fine.
But I feel that we can get lodged
100%
into it. You think, oh, I've got this job now, so I've got to stay in this job and move
up,
how high and move up
go
in this position, in this job. You could completely hate the company, the people you work for, the company's ethics, but you feel, I'm here now. But there's nothing stopping you, like, to say, well, I mean, there are things, financial reasons, that some people have got themselves obliged that they can't take a pay cut or something. But I think from what I've learnt now, I could go somewhere and probably earn more money, but I'd much rather wake up on whatever day and be like, or get home and feel that was a satisfying day's work. I feel fulfilled.
That's it. It's such a good word you use there, fulfilled.
Yeah, because I see people who work really hard. I've seen it around me, but they come home, they might have earned a good wage that year or whatever it is, but do they actually enjoy what they're doing? I've seen it really close to me in terms of family members and things. Do they actually enjoy what they're doing?
People that are listening are probably like, I'm in that category. I don't enjoy what I'm doing. No, it's true, isn't it?
And it's easier said than done to be like, all right, pick up and do something else. But, you know, if you think about it, start, just think about it.
I think the key, I think also when you are even thinking about it and you are deliberating whether you're, some people might sit there and think people expect people to just quit their job and then go into, you know, an idea of what they had when they were younger. In some cases that works for people. In most cases that's not going to work. But
not realistic.
It's a case of just going from something to something else that you may enjoy, you may not, and seeing if that works. And if that works for you, brilliant. But then can you figure out finding other things that are giving you purpose or fulfillment from that? And I think once you get that, I think a lot of the time as well, people don't want to feel like pressured in jobs. Don't want to feel like they have to adhere to, I don't know, a hierarchy or, you know, a manager saying, right, you need to do this on a daily basis. I think people like to feel a little bit free to make suggestions in the workplace or change structures. Otherwise, I think that's where people then start getting into, fucking hell, what am I actually doing here? Like, I'm coming to work, my boss is telling me what to do every single day. Most of the time it's not good enough. They're moaning. They're getting told what to do by their boss and they're passing shit down to me. I can't be creative. I can't suggest anything. Then after 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years in the job, I then shut off. I don't start suggesting anything because I know what the system's like, and I know the youngsters coming in start thinking, you know, I've got an idea of this. They just sit there. But
you'll be me in this.
They just carry on and they just repeat the cycle. And then you get stuck in a rut, don't you, where you're like, right, it pays me all right. I live a decent life. I go on 3 holidays a year. My fun or my enjoyment is when I get my 3 holidays a year. And I think that's just such a dangerous way of living, personally.
You think about that, that's what you say, 6 weeks a year. So 6 weeks out of a 52-week year that you're happy. Doesn't for
the rest of your life.
Yeah. I mean, for us, at our age, I don't know what the retirement age will be by the time we get there. But I can't even imagine sitting in an office for me for that time and not doing. I can sit in an office if it's something that I love and something that I enjoy and I'm passionate about.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to, like you said, the whole fulfillment. I think it goes back to coming home from a very exhausting day, a very demanding day, a very challenging day, a very emotional day, but at the end of it, reflecting and going, do you know, I feel quite fulfilled today, or do you know what? I had a bit of purpose in what I did today, or I helped someone, or, you know, what my job or my company is doing for this demographic of people, or these people are really touching something, and I feel purpose.
Yes.
Whereas you're coming home and you're like, I've been working 7 till 7. I have had hardly any lunch break. Boss is on my ass. Tons of emails to do. I've done that for 6 days straight. I've got 1 day of the weekend and I'm back on it again. I've got no time. You've got to find a balance, and I think the balance is get the fuck out of that job. Then you're working 7 to 7.
It's so true, Reece. I used to work for a company that we did health assessments, and it was a lot of people who had the insurance through the people that I worked for, and so they'd get a free through the company, but they get a health assessment every year. A lot of these people were London businessmen. They worked in whatever it might be, insurance, banking, whatever it might be. Yeah. And I've got these people who are 45, 50, whatever it might be, sitting in front of me, and it's like their one moment of relaxation. And the amount of these men who are earning a lot of money would sit there with me and say, I don't see my children.
Yeah.
Or I leave home at 6 to get the train to then get to work, and I get home at 8 and the kids are just about to go to bed, so I kiss them on the head. And I was like, so, you know, how do you want to change your life? Are you happy? Not really. What could you do differently? Oh, I could do this and actually change this. And we sit there and they come like, actually, I can do this. I can create more time by doing this, this and this. I'll see them a year later. We have it all up from what we talked about last time. Anything implemented? No. Straight back into
the routine.
The rat race. And for work, some people, brilliant. But for the people who I know that actually don't really want to be in it, but I've got stuck in that situation, it's sad. They're not happy.
No.
We only get to do this life thing once.
And then it starts going into such a massive, crazy scale when you're talking about, you know, that guy with the kids, or the kid that where he hardly sees them, because they'll grow up not really knowing their dad, and then there's so many things that can come from that. I don't really know my dad. I can't really relate to my dad. I can't really express myself because you don't really have that relationship. They might be there on my birthday. They might be there at Christmas.
It's so true.
On holidays,
but
they're not really there because they're on their phone.
You don't remember them for the day to day.
Yeah, and you can't. That's what I mean. You can't. Again, linking it back to ages ago now. You can't sort of link that physical and emotional and social element to being one-to-one like we are now, across from each other, talking. You know, if you're expressing yourself to your father and wherever it is, from whatever age all the way up, they can give you so many different tools or so many things to try and help guide that. Whereas if they're kissing you on your head goodnight and you can't talk to them, you know,
you're not building a relationship with them.
You won't but also you're not then building a relationship with anyone else, because you're going to form resentment. 100%. Or you'll try and build a relationship outside of other things that show you some interest, which may or may not be good for you.
Positive, yeah. Definitely may not be positive.
Which is crazy. What, in terms of food and mental health, what's your take on that?
Have not been the best with food.
Yeah.
And I know that when I've been in my moments of lower periods, it's even worse. But I can say in this last 6 months where I've put in a lot of different things into action, and I've been trying to eat healthier. My vegetable intake has upped. I mean, I spoke to you a few months ago. Your
recipes.
Yeah, you're vegan. I've had recipes from you that I can use. Really reduce my meat consumption. And one thing, it's probably just me again, but hydration.
Oh, that's massive.
Hydration. That I now carry around a bottle with me, and I'm fully aware now of when I'm dehydrated.
You haven't got the Love Island bottle though, have you?
No, Reece.
I was going to say.
I mean, I've got friends who've got the Love Island bottle.
Yeah.
Have you got it?
No, Mum has. She generally has. Hydration's key, massively. I think it's very, very underrated, and even little things like in the morning, the first thing, I mean, you can do is hydrate yourself, which is very, very good.
If you don't hydrate yourself first thing in the morning, you'll you think you've been asleep for 6, 7, 8, 9 hours, whatever it might be, without taking in any fluid at all.
Yeah, and I think also the importance of the types of fluid you're having at the right times as well is key. Just wanted to read a little. It's quite long, so I'll try and be quite brief with it. A little study. It's from the landing page on the mentalhealth.org.uk website, and the links between food and mental health. I'll just read what they said.
Yep.
There's research to suggest what we eat may affect not just our physical health, but our mental health. Eating a well-balanced diet rich in vegetables and nutrients may be associated with helping the well-being. In a 2014 study, it found that high levels of well-being were being reported by individuals who ate more fruits and vegetables. A recent study that admits a diet in high fruit and vegetables, legumes, nuts, beans, seeds, grains, fish and saturated fats such as olive oil, supplemented fish oil, led to a reduction in depression amongst certain participants, which was 6 months after our invention. The importance of good nutritional intake at an early age is exploited in multiple studies, including a systemic review in 2014, which found that a poor diet with high levels of saturated fat, refined carbs, and processed foods were linked to a poorer mental health in children and adolescents. I think that's quite interesting.
Very interesting. So it's basically like the Mediterranean diet as for physical health, and obviously now from what you've just read, is the diet the way forward.
And I think it's also, like you say, the importance to figure out what works for you. I mean, if you're someone who, for whatever reason, doesn't like meats or cannot tolerate fish, try and figure out what works for you. I think that's the key here and also try not to see it as like a diet. I think that's the key message for me. I think it's seeing it as a lifestyle. So for someone who might be sitting here and going, well, I'm on that spectrum where it's highly processed, carbs, highly processed, all the time I'm eating out. I'm eating frozen pizzas, which I like to call dead food, which is, frozen food. It's not fresh. I'm on that spectrum. Try and gradually figure out what works for you. So what foods do you like? What can you tolerate? And then go from there. Because I think if you're someone who looks at that and goes, right, that's the diet, that's going to be that, and you just solely take that for its purpose, I think that's when there becomes issues, because you're not adhering to your body to allow it to change naturally. You're just going off of what someone else's advice is on a particular study, and I think you just got to be quite careful.
You won't maintain the change if you. Some people can, but the majority of people, if they jump into something, both feet, like that drastic change, at some point their body goes, wait, that chocolate pudding that we have every now and then, why haven't we had that? And then that craving becomes more and more and more. It's a gradual process to get from one type of diet to the other, and it doesn't mean that you can't have.
I think that
you can't have your days when you want.
I think the whole thing with, and I used to be a massive, like chocolate lover, like big £1 big bars from the shop. I used to have one of them probably every day, I reckon, growing up. But I think that links into things with like advertising and stuff that's starting to kill, especially the older generation or the younger females and stuff like that, with how bodies and stuff are perceived, and a lot of things like that is like no carbs before marbs, and even things like you'll rarely see many Instagram pictures with not a topless model, but models with very pristine bodies holding a chocolate bar. There's nothing that's advertised like that, so subconsciously people feel when they do change their lifestyle within food that they cannot have that, and I think that's grossly false. I think you've got to, again, linking back to understanding your body and knowing, okay, I've had a heavy day today. I've gone to the gym, I've done this, or I've gone for a swim, I've gone for a long run. I've fueled myself after with fruits and vegetables or whatever you're eating, hopefully fresh. And then if you are feeling like you want a snack, have a snack. I think so many people try and, it's almost a case of trying to neglect or trying to resist something where it just goes the complete opposite way. And then they'll just turn around and say, well, that didn't work for me.
Your body tells you. When you start craving things, that's your body saying to you, I need this.
100%, yeah.
I need a bit more sugar in the body. We're breaking down here. Our stores are low. Our glycogen stores are low. We need some sugar, or I need protein. I need something.
You need the nutrients and obviously the vitamins to survive.
Your body tells
you need to make sure that you can utilize obviously your whole fat stores by making sure that you're not just someone who's having, I don't know, so everyone's different, but I don't think you can, if you're going from, let's just say, highly processed foods to then going for it, you have to have somewhere in between where if you want to have a chocolate bar, mate, have a chocolate bar all the time. What did I show you earlier? What did I bring you earlier?
Oh, everyone who might be listening to this knows Reece. Get him to make you these peanut butter fudge cake things. They are divine.
But that's what I mean. I try and find things that, so basically all of that peanut butter fudge is 3 ingredients. So it's peanut butter and 100% peanuts. So no sort of oil added or anything like that. So it's 100% peanuts. It's literally just that, and I'll use carob powder because I find like cacao powder gives me a bit of a headache after a while. Okay. And I don't know, there's some studies to say certain things that messes with people's brains. So I use carrot powder. So yeah, it's that carrot powder, and then just hemp seeds.
Okay.
Which is optional, and then just a tiny bit of maple syrup, whizzed in a blender so it forms together like a little fudge, and then just put in a small container, press down and spit on some hemp seeds and whatever you want, and then put in the freezer. Literally that.
That's it.
So carrot powder, peanut butter, and a little bit of maple syrup.
How long did it take you
to make that?
Yeah.
What, like 2 minutes?
Exactly. Because people always think something that's a nice snack. Like
Yeah.
a sweet, brings out the sweetness in you.
Yeah, we ate two.
Yeah, just two.
Yeah.
But
I've had like 10 already in one day. But yeah.
But people obviously think things that would be seen to be good for you take time, and that's a false narrative.
Yeah.
That is a false. That was quicker than actually making a proper, like an old school chocolate brownie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%.
Where you got to use your arm and
Yeah.
stir it for 10 years.
Get a shoulder ache.
And I'm telling you, everyone, they were divine.
Yeah, appreciate it. No, but I mean, I think the actual longest thing, I guess, for people starting would be outsourcing and figuring out where to find sort of recipes and stuff like that, I guess. And I think, again, the key is just going on, again, using a tool that actually helps you. Social media, Pinterest,
this
going on YouTube.
This is a place where social media now, one of the benefits from it.
100%.
Opens you up to loads of positive things. People wanting fitness regimes. You could follow someone who follows fitness regimes. You've got people who, if you are specific dietary requirements, you've got pages associated just to meals from them.
Yeah.
All 5-minute meals, 10-minute meals, 15-minute meals. It's like the information is out there. It's a case of actually wanting to go out and actually search for it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and that's key. And yeah, just wanted to touch on that in terms of that again as well, because people listening in might have gone, right, you know, listen to what you're saying, you know, gone through this whole principle, and not necessarily probably addressing, right, I might need to change a few things in terms of, you know, what I'm eating to try and help myself as well, because obviously that will be you know, be helpful in again the whole process of moving you forwards. It's not just you know, potential tablets if you're on them. It's not just the TMS. It's not just the speech therapy. It's a combination, and it's lifestyle.
The lifestyle is the one. You think, we all think of our, let's call it physical health, and they're both. It's your overall health.
Yeah, it's well-being.
It's well-being. It's what you put into your body is going to affect everything. It's not, you can't, like, your head isn't just a separate part of your body that's completely separated from everything down. Actually, a friend said this to me the other day. He said, we're talking about mental health of some sort, and he said, I don't like to call it mental health, I like to call it mental fitness, because he said, I think of it as my physical fitness, as in he runs now, and he's like, I want my mental fitness to also be high.
Yeah.
And it's doing things that helps his maintain his mental fitness. Right, because we all have mental health. The health is, you know, it's overall in general. We have physical health.
It's changing the label, isn't it?
Yeah, he's like, it's mental. He said it's my personal mental fitness. And he said he'd stopped drinking alcohol to improve his mental fitness, just like he stopped drinking alcohol to improve his physical fitness.
Yeah.
They came hand in hand.
That's such an interesting point, massively, because I found that's helped me as well. I have since for June time, I think. Yeah, since June time, and again alluding to earlier the conversation I had about the breakup with my ex. There was a lot of early alcohol and stuff involved, and a lot of overreaction. I got the nickname Rogue Harris because just little things like, you know, I would do certain stuff when I was intoxicated, and, you know, things that I regret. You know, messaging, you know, the ex, like nasty messages and stuff like that, and all of those things, you know, you'd do
under the influence.
Under the influence. But even as I was getting older and thinking that I was, you know, moving through these sort of things, and, you know, you're drinking, and you're just drinking for me it was I was drinking for the sake of it. But then when I would drink, it would bring up certain emotions and certain thoughts in me. I just thought I don't need this in my life. And I just remember saying to myself after Ibiza last year, June time, so I'm just gonna, just not drink when I don't want to drink. I wasn't saying I'm gonna not drink for a year or whatever. It was a case of, do you know what? If it's something that I feel like I want to do, have a drink, have a drink. If it's I don't need to, then I won't need to. And I think it's nearly 7-8 months since I had a drink. And it's just and I feel so much better for it. And I just, for me it was a case. A lot of things now are based around social. So like even you're having dinner and it's all right, do you want a glass of wine, or do you want a drink? And for me it was a case of I didn't see why I needed to have a glass of wine or whatever it is while having dinner. It just didn't register in my head. So that's such an interesting point in terms of the mental fitness and taking away that side of things.
I was really surprised because this particular friend, I went to uni with him, and I know that he could drink quite extensively and get himself into certain situations off the back of the drinking. Some stories I'll probably tell you off here. But for him to say that, I was like, wow. He'd sort of evaluated and said, actually, I don't need this.
No.
And he realised he can still have a good time without it. Sometimes I think, we really need to. Some people just enjoy it, and they can. They don't. It doesn't bring out any negative qualities that they, when they're doing it. But for some others, negative things are associated with the alcohol.
Yeah.
Like you said, you were doing things that sober Reece wouldn't do.
No.
And then I guess feelings of guilt afterwards when you're doing things like that. Or almost ashamed of things that you might have done, and because it's not the real. If you want to say
again,
that.
It's another tool to mask a pain or an emotion that you're feeling, isn't it?
Definitely. I used it.
It's a case of someone ended a relationship of years on years, even though that I was very wrong in the relationship, but I wasn't dealing with that emotional side of it, so I used something to mask that, and from that, certain stuff come out of the intoxication. But I think it's also interesting to point out that people on the receiving end of the social circle. So if you're someone who is listening and saying, drink, it does associate certain things and I do want to come off it, or I do want to just take a break from it. I think people listening in as friends of that, if someone goes out and you're in a social circle going out for dinner or just going out for a drink with mates, be acceptant and allow it to be a case of you're going for a catch up. Don't see it as you're going for drinks, and don't see it as if someone says, "Oh, do you want a drink? I'm getting some drinks at the bar," and they say, "Yeah, I have a lemonade." You don't necessarily have to be like, "Oh, why are you not drinking?" Because there's
putting that extra
from
pressure.
that you're trying to then create pressure onto someone who is also then at the same time already feeling a certain way, whether it's a little bit of anxiety in the case of I don't want to have to then say why I'm not drinking. And then or have to keep making excuses for I'm not drinking. I think you just got to try and be, again, like we were talking about earlier, being acceptant of the individual, your mates, or whoever it is, really.
We're all different and we all change. So what one person would have done 2 years ago, that person might not do exactly that same thing 2 years down the line. And you need to be open to knowing that that person is not that same person. You might be.
Yeah, of course.
That's completely fine. But you have to be aware that people do develop and they go through different situations in life, whatever it might be, and they do grow in a way to be a slightly different person each day.
Yeah, that's interesting. What let's try and wrap this up the best way. For the 1000th cough of the evening.
Yeah, I know. It's been a struggle.
From everything that you've gone through, to people listening in, or to someone listening in, and they may have an idea of a potential friend or someone that isn't necessarily close to them or that are close to them, what would you say in terms of firstly, their ability to help themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Also, secondly, your advice, again, linking with some of the things that have and haven't worked for you, and also just some perspective on what your life's like now, to what it was like before everything happened,
Mm-hmm.
and also how you may or may not have almost accepted what has happened, and to get to where you are, and almost to be maybe a bit, are you happier than what you actually were before everything happened? Things like that. And not necessarily are you happier, but are you at a point where you know, this has happened to me, I'm fully embracing it, and this is where I am, and this is where I am with it.
Just to answer that last bit. I have accepted what's happened from going back to the car accident. Everything's happened beforehand. I know that this sort of depression has always been there, and I look back on times before that, and I think, oh, maybe that was the start and signs of things that were possibly underlying, but never really fully came out, but they were on their way.
Yeah.
And it was just that the accident was the trigger for me, for it all to sort of explode. In terms of me looking back to from before everything happened to now, happy is a weird word.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. If it's, I think it's relative, but I feel more content.
Yeah.
That's the word I would use. I feel more content within myself, and I know myself better.
Yeah.
I know what I want. I don't particularly know. When I say I don't mean I don't know. I definitely want to be in this job or do this or that. But I'm more confident to make decisions.
Yeah.
Instead of just going with the flow, which I used to do at times. I try to do what's right for me, which is not always an easy thing to do. But I've learned to put myself first.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one bit of advice, I guess, from myself that I'd say to people is, yes, be kind to people, look out for other people, 100%. I do. I've got a group of people that I know go through things, that we'll check on each other. I send a message, but put yourself first, which not in a selfish way. Well, actually, no. I'm going to take that back.
100%
in a selfish way.
Yeah.
For your own well-being. Sometimes you need to say to someone, you might feel like you have to do something with them. You say, no, I need this day to do this. But
I think selfish is it's a weird way of going around things, because for you, if you know yourself and understand yourself, and you know you need that time, or you know you need that certain amount of space to process and deal with certain things, or you know you need to do this to progress yourself forwards. For me, that's not being selfish. Being selfish is the person or the people on the other end receiving it as being selfish, because they haven't processed or understood themselves. I think if they were in that position where they fully understood themselves and knew them, they would know, and they would be able to pick up by knowing you as the individual that, okay, cool.
Well, you need to do that. You made that decision. It's fine.
Yeah, and it's not, you're looking at it from the standpoint, oh, why is this person being so? It's almost a case of, bang, I know that what that person needs to do. Go and do it. No, I know you need time. Take time to yourself. I know this is what you need to do for whatever reason. Cool, go and do it. I think sometimes it's the person on the receiving end that tries to twist it. But yeah, that's
very true. And I mean, in terms of, I guess, things to look out for, a resource that I've used and I think is very, very handy if you just want to understand more is mentalhealth.org.uk. mentalhealth.org.uk. There's a lot of information on there. Like we were talking about, trying to understand. That's a website that I have used. There's different publications on there about dealing with stress or dealing with you think you might have depression or anxiety, just little tips and things that understand what is happening.
Yeah.
And you've got sort of more statistics on there, and it's quite a good resource, quite a big spread. And for people who might be worrying about somebody else, sometimes it might be difficult to try and open that discord between them, because it's not a topic you want to. Often people want to bring up. They say like, "Are you okay?" And then, especially amongst you go out with your friends and be like, "Right, mate, you right? Yeah." But no one be going like, "No, but actually, how are you?"
Yeah.
How are you? Not, "You okay? Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good." And it's just sort of left. That's how
of course.
you'd greet someone. At a moment, someone you've got to say, "No, but how are you?" Actually, that could be like, brilliant. I've got this going on, this going on, this going on. Perfect. Actually, I've been a little bit something that work's been going on. Okay. And then that might open a dialogue to talk about that in a bit more detail.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be, an intense, what's going on? What's wrong with you?
No, I think it's, again, sort of linking into the earlier chat we were talking about football. It's the knowing the individual as well, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, and how to approach them.
Yeah, having the relationship and knowing how to approach the situation. And again, just sort of being ears to listen, again, like you said earlier, and not coming from it from a judgmental point of view. I guess there's sort of shoes and shoelaces, isn't there? There's something that you both need. If you're wanting to tell someone, you want to tell someone who you feel like is not going to be judgmental or look down on you. So from that standpoint, you're waiting for that right opportunity. And then if you're someone on the other side of the coin who is very much warm, very receiving, very open, very non-judgmental, and you approach the topic at the right time with the right mindset, with the right frame and the right understanding that whatever this person says, you're not going to judge them, you're not going to make them feel a certain way, that will flow. And I think also socially as well, even if it is your friend, you're going to build such a bigger relationship, because the understanding between the two, you'll probably find gets deeper, because there'll be stuff that they will want to bring up.
I pointed to you and smiled then because you said that. There's certain people around me, from like a friendship wise, where like the friendship's even grown more since I've been through everything, and we're like more in tune.
Yeah.
So like, over Christmas, when I wasn't feeling great before that, one of my friends messaged me. He was like, "We need to do something." And then he was like, "I'm coming round." Just came and chatting and that, and he was like, "I could tell something's not quite right."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, yeah, you're right. And it's cool. I mean, I'm quite open.
Yeah.
And it's not not everyone's going to be like that. Some people won't want to be open at all, and that's the best way for them to deal with whatever they're going through. But I am quite open, which works for me. But I mean, yeah, as I was talking about, I've got certain friends that our bond has got even closer because we're sort of on a deeper understanding of feelings or emotions that we didn't really discuss before, because we don't do that.
It's because you're on a different. It's like a different frequency almost, isn't it? That.
Yeah.
Like you said, how you doing? Yeah, I'm alright. You're right. Yeah, I'm good. How are you actually doing? Oh, do you know what? I've been really down lately. My relationship's getting really bad. I don't know what to do. I don't know who to turn to. I've been feeling, a certain way, and then that person comes from a different. And then, again, that frequency of just understanding someone else's point of view as well, and going, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, it's perfectly normal how you're feeling. I may have gone through something similar. I have, whatever. And then they're relaying that, and it's...
Honestly, you don't know the amount
that
of
connection
people
is just...
That has happened to with me over the last however long time. And I've had people just reach out to me and say, actually, I've not been feeling too good, Brad. People that would never have said it before.
Yeah.
Is this... I'll be like, yeah, and we have an open conversation about it. And I think the thing to try and think and remember is there's a way out. There is a way to get from the darkest place you could possibly be. And I mean, I'm no point saying that I'm in the point in my life where I want to be whatever it might be, or I haven't got the final, or I mean the job that's perfect for me right now, or nothing's perfect, but you can come out of it and get to a place of being content.
But also those things are very external, aren't they?
Exactly.
The job, the car, the holidays, the emotional and the connection side are all internal. The way you feel, the connection you have with someone, the conversations you have with someone, the deep empathy you have with someone, they're all things that you can't buy. They're all emotions and are all feelings that are attached to the inner self, not what you can go to Tesco's and buy, unfortunately.
It is the word, the word content is just the word that and I probably haven't felt that in this way even beforehand, because I was doing this uni thing to then do this and do that, and I had to. It was always. But now I'm sort of. Well, I might want to actually go to do this course at uni, but I'm not going to be defined by that course.
Yeah,
at uni,
of course.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, you're not letting that be the definition of what Bradley Fleming's life's going to be like.
Yeah.
You're letting whatever you enjoy, whatever processes you go through and come out the other side.
And what's happening in this moment. Trying to just enjoy what's going on.
Sure.
Just at this moment, in this time, and not let something that might happen or something that has happened affect my overall mood in this moment.
Of course.
And I think that's it. That is all I've got to say, really, Reece.
Decent.
From my own experiences and how.
Yeah. I think that's spot on, mate. I think the things to take from this conversation are so broad, and if you need to, again, I'll try and find some links. I'll get Brad to send me some links. So he's obviously mentioned mentalhealth.org.uk, and was it Baby Mind? And
so I mean, if anyone's feeling in terms of bad and suicide or having thoughts, you've got the Samaritans. They're open 24/7, 7 days a week. At the phone call, that's a free phone call. 116-123. That's the phone number. It's a nice and easy number. 116-123. They've also got an email, joe@samaritans.org. For young people, you've got Papyrus. They're a prevention of young suicide. They're for people under the age of 35. They also have a phone number, the Hopeline UK number, 0800 068 4141. They've also got a text number, which is 07786 209 697. And then you've also got 111 service, the NHS 111 service, and in obviously extreme cases, for this is maybe people and for yourself and family members or friends or who may be concerned, ring 999.
Yeah, of course. In terms of the anxiety and depression, for parents listening who have younger children, let's say from the age of 11 to 16, 17, the process that you said you went through with like the PTSD, do you feel like that can be another tool in case, as well as the medication side of things?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know specifically about the research behind it or in terms of the rewind therapy.
Yeah.
But it worked for me. So I think that is definitely another tool to the toolbox of things that you can find.
I think people that might be, parents that are like, my kids are on antidepressants or whatever tablets, and they're probably thinking, I don't want them on them constantly. Can we try something? And even if they're obviously still on them when they're trying this, again, another tool from the toolbox. And then if it helps, then obviously they can speak to their GPs and stuff, and then say, look, this is working for us. Can we then start, building a process?
Having been within the system does work. In terms of the NHS system, it does work, but it might just be a little bit clunky sometimes, or a bit slower than would be ideal. But getting yourself within the system is where you want to be, really.
I always like the saying that there's a lot of good people on the front line of the NHS, but there's a lot of people that restrict the NHS for other needs and other gains, unfortunately.
You couldn't have said it more perfectly yourself, Reece. That was perfectly worded.
100%. But yeah, we'll hopefully get together again soon and speak about speak about the charity work and the events and stuff you got coming up, because I think that's going to be good, and I think it'd be good as well to have people that are listening in to tap into what you're doing, and then hopefully try and 100%. Generate a community from there and build things through.
That's the hope and the goal, to slowly build and the charity actually start helping more and more people. When we started, we said if we help one person, then it would have made a difference. So we've now got the funding to be able to do that for that one person and more. And we just want it to keep going and progress, and we'll see where we get to.
Can't have £1,000 if you don't have a penny, mate.
There we go. You've got to start somewhere, haven't you?
You've got to start with that 1p first.
You've got to start somewhere.
So
so the charity is called so this, I've got to pronounce this right now. Marama Foundation. Now, we're just going to call it Marama because no one can keep making that noise, right?
Okay.
It's a Maori word. So New Zealand, it means bright or clear.
Brilliant.
So obviously I was living in New Zealand, and that's when I started off getting into my worst, and that word just sort of stuck with me in terms of that brightness and the clarity of mind, and that's where the name came from.
Brilliant.
So that's the name on Facebook. It's the Marama Foundation, Marama.
Decent.
And on Instagram as well, it's the same. You'll see some quotes on there and a few links to different things and some pictures of when we did the marathon and in October, and any updates on what's going on. You'll find it on either of those two.
Decent. Top man. Cheers for coming in, Brad.
No, thank you very much for having me, Reece.
That's all right. Top man. Guys, thanks for listening into the podcast. As you would have heard, a very open and honest discussion with Brad and I about our life stories and the things that we've gone through. Hopefully you can take away something from the information Brad's given you. I will link everything in terms of websites and sort of treatments that Brad has used that have helped him, and also again just using the avenues as a tool to try and see if those things will help you or for someone else who you know who may need them as well. Again, stay tuned for more podcasts to follow. This one was a really good podcast for me because sort of again releasing some of the emotions and things that I've been through as well. So appreciate Brad for being that guy that can listen and again give me some information and some knowledge on things that I can do to progress myself forward. Stay tuned for more to follow. Peace.